Building Bridges with Michael Hershman.
Hello, I'm Michael Hershman, and welcome to the first in a series of podcasts called Building Bridges, That Which Unites Us. To understand where we are today, it's crucial to reflect on the past and look to the future. And that's exactly what we're going to do in today's conversation. In 2026, we'll celebrate the 250-year anniversary of the founding of the United States. This week, I'm joined by Arthur Leopold and citizens on the street. Arthur is a successful entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, and is CEO and founder of Agentio, which he established here in New York City. Arthur has built two companies, one called Cameo, which he headquartered in Chicago. Very successful company that uses social media to bring together ordinary folks with entertainers and athletes, people they admire, on special occasions, their birthdays or their anniversaries. But he left there to start this new company, Agentio, here in New York City. And I want to ask him a lot about why New York. Both companies, by the way, rely upon social media in their business platforms. Why New York City as opposed to Chicago, LA, or somewhere else?
Having built companies in Chicago and in New York, you start to realize that New York truly is the epicenter of talent and of global talent. And people from all over the world want to work in New York. And there's, an age-old saying, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And you really feel that with the quality of talent that you're able to attract in New York. They come from banking sectors, they come from creative sectors, they come from advertising sectors. And especially as we look at this quickly emerging and important foundational technology, artificial intelligence, AI, New York has the opportunity to be the global ecosystem and to run the global ecosystem of artificial intelligence because of how much there is in New York to learn from. There is in New York for research. And as we think about the future of tech in New York, the future of tech will be AI driven. If you look at recent tech investments, in 2023, about 50% of New York's tech investments were in the AI sector. And New York is now the number 2 most invested city after San Francisco. Going back 10 years or 20 years to the early days of tech, New York was barely even on the map as compared to San Francisco. And now, especially with early stage companies, what are called seed stage companies, oftentimes New York has more funding investment than San Francisco. And the majority of that's going towards AI.
Okay, well, I'm going to come back to AI, but so you live in Brooklyn. Tell me about your living experience in New York. New York is complaining about everything. It's in their DNA. There's a lot of unhappiness about what they talk about my economy, lack of housing, affordable housing and such. How is your daily life in New York?
We, my family, myself, we adore New York. We think New York is so special. You can walk anywhere and see something new and different. And I reflect back to my time in Chicago where I was building Cameo, and something magical about New York is when you walk outside at 7 a.m, the place is bustling. And I'm an early riser. I would leave for the office in Chicago at 7 a.m, and it felt like you could shoot a cannon down the main drag, the main business area, and nobody was in sight. Literally nobody was in sight. In New York, at 7 a.m, people are up, they're running, they're going to work, and there's this energy that's unmatched, unlike any other place in the world, frankly. And that is really motivating and empowering. So whether you're in New York to live and enjoy and retire, or you're in New York to make an incredible career, you have the best restaurants in the world, you have the best museums in the world, you have the best attractions. Everybody comes to New York because they know that it's the greatest global ecosystem of culture, of nightlife, of restaurants, of business, and everything, of course, clashes and creates this amazing, harmonious place that's chaotic, but exciting, and why we're all here and why we love New York so much.
So you would agree with me, I assume, in my assessment that I'm from Brooklyn as well, of course, and I'm biased, I understand that, but New York really is the center of the universe, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt.
And we have to keep it that way. In order to keep it that way, we have to progress, and we have to accept new technologies and new business opportunities and economic development, new technologies like AI. In fact, we went out on the street and we talked to some citizens about their feelings about AI, and I'd like to hear what they have to say and then get your reflections on that.
Does AI make your life easier? Do you have any AI fears?
I think AI makes life easier. It makes life convenient in terms of, let's say you're writing emails, you forget what you want to write to somebody, and then you kind of just write a little snippet in ChatGPT.
AI definitely makes my life easier. Whenever you talk about, search preferences and things of that nature, popping up things that are customized to me.
I think AI will help and hurt job creation, but we don't know how yet.
I think AI will help job creation. It will just open more areas for people, new fields for people to work in.
What scares the hell out of me is the fact that you can make a video that looks so real, no matter what it is, and it can pass, and that's not cool.
My fears is that it'll make humans dumber, honestly.
In terms of fears, I think AI can be dangerous if humans develop it past the point beyond their control.
So not surprisingly, it gets mixed reviews. Some people love it because it makes their lives easier. Some people are scared of it. They're afraid they're going to lose their jobs. And also, there's a feeling that AI can produce disinformation that can lead to embarrassment or worse on the part of some people. How do you address these different views?
AI is one of the most exciting and scariest technologies, if not the most exciting and scariest technology to ever be created. And over the course of 2 years, we've seen a level of acceleration that we've never seen in a modern economy, where all of a sudden companies can rely on using AI to build their entire company or to have a tenth of the workforce that they historically had. But what's going to happen, because humans are intelligent and adaptable and understand how to leverage the great technologies and things around them, is that people are going to get smarter and people are going to be able to have more leverage, more insights, more data to make their decisions, and they're going to become, frankly, better workers, better employees. They're going to find opportunities to live better because AI is going to be able to really help support them. So I like to think of AI as giving you the tools to be like the ultimate quarterback, right? And if you think back to the late 90s or the early 2000s, there was fear that the internet was going to displace everything from researchers to writers, but all it did is it gave us the ability to be more empowered and to better understand what's out there and how to actually learn and react to information to make better decisions. AI is now that and exponentially more. It is truly a superpower, and I'll give you an example. As I build my company Agentio here in New York, we have 15 employees today, and we're hiring close to 50 more. But had we started Agentio similar to 10 years ago when we started Cameo, we probably would have had to have 50 to 100 employees to have the exact same impact that we're able to have today. And that's because of AI and the tools that the team has every single day at their disposal to be able to use. So everything from coding support to documentation support to better understanding what our customers need and the technology that we should build around them. It gives our team the ability to be the ultimate quarterback and to essentially create the plays that they know can be most impactful. So New Yorkers, more so than anyone, have a true level of grit and tenacity and resilience that I know the New Yorkers as a whole will be able to power through and be able to really properly use AI in everything that they do. It is scary though, right? This is a new technology. All of a sudden, you see that it can do your job maybe as well as you can, depending on the sector or what type of job and employment that an individual has. But that same individual can also take that technology to make them that much better and help really elevate them at their company.
unless I'm mistaken, your current company is about social media. Is that correct? Describe a little bit more about how it emphasizes what social media can do from a business standpoint.
Yeah, we realize that the most powerful people in the world to share a brand's message and to advertise on behalf of a brand are social media celebrities or content creators. And the current ways of trying to work with creators, if you're a brand, any of the advertisers, the thousands of great advertisers in New York City, is to go through this very laborious process. It's a process where people are incentivized to create friction. There's opacity across the board, so you don't know how much a creator or influencer might cost for anything, and you don't know how to reach them. So it's this very archaic way of working, and we realize that because of artificial intelligence and large language models, we could automate a lot of the challenging parts that currently make it so hard for a brand to work with creators in a scalable way. So that means we can identify, for a brand like Warby Parker, the glasses brand, if a creator on YouTube has ever talked about wishing they had 20/20 vision, or not being able to see if they drive at night. And being able to understand that through AI helps create such a great match between the creator and the brand itself. And that's a superpower that our team is now able to leverage on behalf of a brand. So that's just one aspect of it. But then you think of, the entire process of a brand trying to work with a creator or a celebrity today, where they have to find the right creator. They have to then price the creator. They then have to ensure the creator is actually brand safe. Well, how do you do brand safety when a creator might have, 10 different social media platforms and, they have a presence online of, 5, 10, 20 years? AI helps us understand all the content that a creator's ever made. And why that's so powerful is because now a brand can have the confidence to work with a creator because we're able to understand all the content that the creator's made and if the creator's brand safe or not. So one of the challenges that brands have today in scaling programs with celebrities and with content creators is knowing, is this the right creator and is the creator brand safe? And AI, the power of it, can help us look at every single video, every single piece of content that the creator's ever made in the fraction of a second and make a determination as to whether a creator is brand safe or not.
Is social media good for humanity? Let me explain what I mean by that. There's a lot of unhappiness in this country, in this city. We've been through a lot. We've been through COVID, which essentially kept people at home. And we've gone through terrorist acts, both domestic and overseas. The world is in turmoil. And some people think that social media has something to do with this, that social media has led to people being more isolated and kind of more dispirited, more insecure, a greater sense of unhappiness. What is your take on that?
If you look at American high school students and their happiness level, the happiest that they ever were was between 2005 and 2008. And if you look back to 2005 and 2008 and you see what happened there, it was the start of Facebook. And it was when Facebook actually created a level of connectivity between students at their school and maybe friends or family members elsewhere. If you look at overall happiness today, it's plummeted because people, of course, consume social media and, the cat is very much out of the bag. So if you look at the earliest inception of social media, it absolutely was a positive part of everyone's lives and people were able to connect more easily. People were able to benefit from, some of the content shared. One of the challenges today, though, is that social media in many ways is creating a level of distrust, dissatisfaction, and this perceived feeling amongst people that are consuming it that they're just not good enough because they see perfection everywhere else. So if you look now at the trends of overall global happiness or with high schoolers or with young teenagers, they've never been unhappier. And that's really upsetting. So there have to be ways for us and social media companies to better foster things like, positive content that can actually create more connectivity rather than make people feel isolated or make people feel like they're not a part of something.
Can social media companies do that through self-regulation, or does government have to step in?
Can the government use AI to support democracy?
I think the government can use AI better to promote a better democracy. Maybe. I'm not sure how they can utilize it to make it better. I don't think we're just there yet. Maybe we need more data to collect.
I think the government could use AI to make a better democracy. Of course, it comes down to how it's implemented and how you're going to safeguard said AI.
I think that's a yes and no question. I think that if we start actually listening to the people rather than being flooded by the mainstream media, we'd have a better understanding of each other, and then AI could be used on the people's opinions rather than media.
I think the government could use social media and AI better, but I don't know how. But if I did know how, I'd run for office.
That's the challenge, right? The beauty of social media is its ability to create a level of freedom around communication and speech, and the ability for any individual to all of a sudden, go viral or build a huge community without government intervention, so long as they're creating safe content. So I don't think we should ever be in a position, as a government or for any government, to say yes or no to certain content, so long as the content is legal, of course, or to push a narrative or push content through algorithmic changes that might affect the way that people think about certain issues or think about certain problems. But we want to be in a position where the companies are empowered to create more happiness and more goodwill with the people who are actually consuming social media, which today isn't necessarily the case.
You're describing a very delicate balance. And that balance, of course, can be upset at any one time during the course of any one day. And so, yeah, there are benefits and there are downsides. You have kind of a unique perspective. You're both an outsider and an insider. You come from Canada, born and raised in Canada, schooled in Canada, went to college here in the United States. During the last political season, which was just a few months ago, the word democracy became politicized, and people forgot about the underlying principles. I bring this up because, of course, I started talking about our 250-year anniversary. Can social media do more to highlight the underlying principles? And now I'm talking about, of course, things like freedom of speech and freedom of religion, freedom to gather. Can social media be used as a tool to bring back core values to our country?
What are your thoughts on social media and civilized discussions?
I believe social media is a good place for like a great conversation in terms of debating. I feel like it can bring people together and lay out ideas that people can disagree on and agree on.
I think accountability. I think social media, we're able to do things quasi-anonymously, and therefore we don't have to take ownership of our words and our intentions.
I think we can change the dynamic of social media by having more critical thinking conversations rather than just rage bait on the internet.
Social media can have an improved role in terms of people having civilized conversations. If it helped maybe either take a little bit of emotion out so people can objectively talk more.
Social media should be used as a tool for positivity, which, of course, as we all view and feel it, and we're all lucky to be here in New York City, positivity is derived from this freedom of speech, this freedom of self-expression. And at the end of the day, social media, to its core, is self-expression. And if the platforms, whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok, whether it's X, if they're able to help promote more positivity and more ways for us to be excited and understanding of 250 years of democracy and how this country has helped shape not just technology, but people's economic ability to live and survive and prosper, I would hope that social media companies would be able to do that, and that they should do that. During this last election, and the election prior, there was so much conversation around what are social media companies not sharing, and are social media companies regulating themselves too much? That's an entirely different discussion, but that's a challenge that social media companies are going to continue to face. How much do they want to regulate themselves and the content on those platforms, and how much should they allow their users to have the freedom of expression to share and amplify what they think is most important?
Do you have any thoughts about whether TikTok is dangerous and whether it should be banned from this country and perhaps other Western countries?
TikTok is a platform that, like, for the first time created true consensus, bipartisan consensus across Democrats and Republicans who saw a national security briefing and felt the need to actually shut down the platform. And, you know, for any private company to create and elicit that reaction, it's such a divided government body, is telling. And, you know, that is concerning. And we also know that TikTok, you know, empowers and enables hundreds of thousands and millions of people to actually live off of their work by becoming content creators, by becoming more entrepreneurial. TikTok helps small businesses across the country actually be able to market and, you know, create great content that's going to get out in the public and help them survive and help them thrive. So it's very much a double-edged sword, and we have to balance national security with what the country believes and wants, and, you know, that is TikTok can be an economic power internally, and that is okay, and that outweighs the potential national security risks. So I'm a believer in economic power and empowering those through technology and the ability for people to create and become entrepreneurial without having to go through, you know, bureaucracy and you know, a major company and so on and so forth. And more so than ever today, we have the tools to be entrepreneurial. However, because of the national security risks, there are probably ways for us to be migrating folks on TikTok to other platforms where they can still continue to create, have a level of free speech, make their businesses thrive, and connect with communities.
You're a parent. Now, your children are probably a bit too young to be using social media at this point, but what would you say to parents that are concerned about their children's use of the internet and social media?
It scares the hell out of me as a parent. It's frankly frightening. And I speak with parents all the time, and everyone's trying to balance, like, when do you give kids access to social media, to a cell phone, right? Because we know that they can learn so much from it if they're consuming the right content. You know, if they're on YouTube Kids, it's very different than being on YouTube itself for a small kid or for a toddler. So it's scary, and, you know, this is where maybe the government can step in and help regulate the content that people under a certain age might be viewing. This is something that's been done in other countries, like New Zealand, for instance, and that would likely be beneficial to the future growth of our country and our kids. And, you know, something that is quite telling, if you look at China, for instance, the type of content that is served to kids under a certain age in China is very different on social media platforms like Baidu than what is served to kids under, you know, 13 and 17-year-olds here in the US. They don't allow that content, the content here in the US. They view it as brain-rotting content. So that's something for us to consider, and frankly for you know, our legislative bodies to consider. How much do we want to expose younger kids to content that, frankly, like, might actually be hurting them in the long run? One of the reasons we're building our company here in New York City is because of the density of talent, and something that we have been so excited about, frankly, is you know, the current mayor, Mayor Adams, actually really leaning in and helping enable companies to be more successful through government initiatives, through government grants. What I would love to see is for New York City to actually create far more economic opportunity, especially around artificial intelligence. So recently, Mayor Adams launched a $3 million AI Nexus program with OpenAI. $3 million is not going to get us very far. What if it was $3 billion? What if it was $30 billion? What if we could actually take every company in the Bay Area and empower them to be in New York City to help make the government more efficient, to help make New Yorkers' lives that much better, and to help give people more opportunity through tax incentives for these companies to move to New York and to actually work in some capacity, on behalf of the government, or the government to actually contract with them. We know that bureaucracy and governments take a long time to adopt new technologies, and Mayor Adams and frankly even Kathy Hochul, they have been much more progressive around business and the opportunity around AI than many other states, but still not enough.
In what way can AI make government processes more transparent and trustworthy?
I think there's an opportunity for the governments to actually enable AI companies to invest more in places like New York and create better technology in current government systems. So you look at this like archaic infrastructure that many governments currently work off of. AI, of course, can help make these systems operate better and make the employees of the New York City government and the New York government much more efficient. Right now, there's not enough incentive for these companies to actually be working on behalf of the government and have the government as, enterprise or economic partners. So really excited about the opportunity for people like Mayor Adams to hopefully create more incentives for some of these West Coast Bay Area companies to come to New York and to continue building, which we're starting to see. OpenAI just took 90,000 square feet in New York. Anthropic just took a major piece of real estate in New York. Amazon and Google have never taken more real estate. So New York is becoming, the microcosm, the ecosystem for technology, and has the opportunity to do so for AI as well. There just needs to be a little bit more incentive from the government and for the government to bring these incredible companies to help create a more efficient government system.
You mentioned the pool of talent. What are you looking for in terms of talent for your company? Is it folks that have a college degree in a particular discipline? What is it that appeals to you?
We look at talent as people that are going to be bar raisers. Who's going to come and, regardless of their role, if they're an engineer, if they're a product designer, if they're helping recruit talent, if they're in sales or they're building our creator network, are they going to come and help raise the bar and help make us smarter and better every single day? So oftentimes those individuals come from great schools. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have great backgrounds at investment banks here in New York, and other times they've helped scale companies or been at Google and Facebook. So it's really dependent on the individual, but we know that what makes somebody successful at Agentio today is a level of grit and resilience and persistence that's very core to like what a New Yorker is. And these are the types of people that we look for every single day. People that are going to come in and really raise the bar.
How has the underlying principles of democracy, the freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States and elsewhere in Western countries, how does that impact your ability to build your businesses and conduct your personal life?
Yeah, our economic freedoms enable this level of capitalism and economic opportunity that wouldn't be possible in a system where there wasn't the free flow of information and the free flow of capital. So because of the system that we've created here in the US is the #1 place in the world for tech investments, for venture capital investments, for tech growth. You look at New York as a city, and 35% of new jobs post-pandemic were in technology. That's a huge percent of overall pool of talent here in New York. That wouldn't be possible without a level of investment and without a level of freedom of speech and expression, the ability to build great businesses here in New York and here in America wouldn't be possible without the economic freedoms and, frankly, the personal freedoms that we have as individuals.
Do foreign investors and businesses have more confidence in our economy and our country than we do as Americans?
I think they do. They see the U.S. as the beacon on the hill. And at the end of the day, the U.S. has the best talent in the world, has the best companies in the world. It's the most forward-thinking country of any country in the world. If you look at the technology that's being built, the investments in technology, and even artificial intelligence, for instance, until DeepSeek, every major AI company was in the U.S. and was founded in the U.S. And that's been the case since the early days of Silicon Valley. And if you look at global market caps of technology companies, over 90% of technology companies with a market cap of $10 billion or more are based here in the U.S. And that's really important as we think about foreign investors coming in, attracting foreign capital, either in real estate, for public companies, or for venture investments. The U.S. continues to be the nucleus of where talent thrives, and our entrepreneurial spirit here in the U.S. is what can drive the economy and continue to drive the success of so many of these companies. You don't find the entrepreneurial spirit elsewhere like you do in the U.S.
And how important is it to continue to attract foreign students to our universities in the United States?
It's critically important. The U.S. has the largest and frankly most impressive body of public and private universities in the world. They're amazing universities across the world, but the density of opportunity for foreign students in the U.S. is unparalleled. So as we think about opportunities for foreign students to come and stay and work for so many great companies, it's really important. And we as a company look to people who've had these experiences, who've come from other countries and have gone to great schools and have worked for great companies and are able to really benefit and share their experience and their knowledge to make companies here in the U.S. and our overall shared success that much more positive and beneficial.
When you were at Duke University, which wasn't all that long ago, when did you graduate Duke?
In 2012.
2012. So it's been 10 plus years. Did they teach you, did you have civic courses? Did you learn about our political history?
Yeah, we core to, frankly, any college student's understanding government and how government works and general civics. But even prior to going to Duke, I took 2 years off to work for the Obama 2008 campaign and was deeply entrenched in local and then national politics, which was such an incredible experience, and realized through my time in politics that you can have a voice and your voice can be amplified, and you can actually work on behalf of organizations or Democratic or Republican groups that.
What do you say to students or young people that are turned off by politics because of the aggressive nature of our current politics and the acrimony that occurs within our political system?
Do something about it. This is the only country in the world where you can truly have a voice and where you can push back on things that you don't believe in, or you can help amplify causes that you do believe in. So there is a level of acrimony. There's a level of feeling of being disenfranchised, especially with younger people. But if you look at the current election, younger people arguably swayed the electorate more so than any other demographic body. And younger people have always been, frankly, a little too lackadaisical when it comes to being in politics or sharing their voice and being part of the political process. And we can't have that. Young people have the opportunity today more than ever, because of the tools at their disposal, to participate in the process and to have their voice be heard, whether that's through social media or other means. this is a really special moment, for people in this country. And my hope is that younger people more than ever, will be able to rise up and help activate or amplify what they believe in. You've seen New York become, continue to become this economic beacon after 9/11, after the pandemic. What are you most excited about, and where do you see the opportunity for foreign and even national investment coming into the city?
New York, despite the fact that there have been people that have left New York and businesses that have left New York, you alluded earlier to a very important point. New York still is the center of the cultural universe. We have more museums in this city than anywhere else in the world. We have more theaters than anywhere else in the world. Some cities might argue with what I'm about to say, but I think we do have the best restaurants in the world. This still attracts the folks that want to get ahead quicker, because 1 year working in New York is like having 5 years experience anywhere else. But we have to fight for economic development. We have to fight to continue to reduce the rules and regulations that prevent development in the city to happen quickly, particularly in the area of affordable housing. So we're dealing with problems here that can be overcome because of the resilience of our citizens in New York, because of the innovation that we have in our bloodstream, and because of a good sense of perspective and a good sense of humor.
Love that. Tell me about the path to liberty and where you see opportunity for all New Yorkers to benefit.
Yeah, so a little bit more than a year ago, I became discouraged with the way politics was being done in this country, the lack of civility, if you will. And I started to think about our 250-year anniversary coming up. And I began to look around the country, and I didn't really see much excitement. Frankly, I saw more excitement about the fact that the FIFA World Cup was coming here in 2026 than I did that it was our 250-year anniversary or birthday. And so I decided, we should do something. We should do a prequel to get people excited about 2026. So on our site, which we've owned for many years on First Avenue between 38th and 41st Street, I decided we're going to do a prequel called The Path to Liberty, That Which Unites Us. And we sent producers around the country to talk to ordinary folks, to talk to CEOs, to talk to university presidents, to find out from them how their lives have been impacted, again, by the underlying principles of democracy, their freedom to express themselves, their freedom to cross state lines and create a business anywhere in the country that they want to, without having to deal with a authoritarian regime preventing them from doing that. So you'll hear some really heartwarming stories about their lives in America, and you'll also hear complaints about what needs to still be done here. Let's remember that democracy is a work in progress. It was an experiment 250 years ago, and that experiment is not done. Democracy is not the perfect form of government. There is no perfect form of government. So we have to find the happy medium that's going to appeal to everyone. And I have confidence that this country can do that.
That's great.
Along with the growth in AI, there is also a great need for more power generation in this country. Where's that going to come from? How do we support this growing AI phenomena without having the transmission lines and the vital energy sources that's going to be needed to accompany that growth?
AI is incredibly resource intensive, and the amount of bandwidth and energy necessary to create these and to power these GPUs that enable artificial intelligence to give us all these superpowers is necessary. And frankly, we're lucky to be a few hundred miles away from our northern neighbors in Quebec, where many or much of the East Coast power actually comes from. So I'm a big believer in us having the closest partnership possible, an economic partnership between the U.S. and Canada, and maybe there's an opportunity for the U.S. and Canada to work more closely together to help power what's needed to make AI possible, and for the U.S. and Canada to continue to be the global leader in AI, because there should be a beautiful partnership there where we're getting power at a fraction of the cost, and Canada's benefiting from it, and of course the U.S. economy is benefiting from it as AI continues to boom here in New York and elsewhere.
I'm going to assume you believe that the partnership doesn't require Canada to become the 51st state.
I think Canada is more than fine as its own country.
Arthur, it's been great having you here today. I thank you so much for your time and your insights. Do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share with us?
I'm so excited to be building a company here in New York, working with the most resilient and gritty and entrepreneurial people in the world. New York, more so than any place in the world, attracts people who want to win. And New York is a community of winners. To be building here, to be funded here, and for companies to continue to grow and scale, especially in this new AI evolution and revolution, is an incredibly exciting time. So I'm so thrilled that I get to be a part of this ecosystem, and really looking forward to seeing how every company in New York is able to leverage these new technologies and continue to win.
Amen. As we wrap up today's episode of Building Bridges, that which unites us, I am reminded of the importance of conversation and technology in bringing us closer together. Thank you for joining us today. And with every conversation we have, the opportunity to build bridges and that which unites us.
Building Bridges with Michael Hershman.